This is traditional Pizzagaina. My grandmother taught me when I was like 5 years old. I used to cut up the things and knead the dough. And today we're starting off with cheese, 1 pound of palio, 1 pound of fresh mozzarella, and 1 pound of basket cheese. 7 cups. Throw that in. We try to get little cube like that. Used to make them thicker, but Uncle Michael complained. He was right. Grandma made them a little smaller. This is ham. It's about 4 cups of ham. It's about 1.5 pounds of ham. We're gonna mix that in. Discovered that with the ham, the Virginia ham's a little sweeter, and I think it adds a little bit more to it.
Okay.
And then when you put the other meats in, which are a little more spicier, the sweet, the spice, I liked it. That was not great, Uncle Michael. Uncle Michael's idea. I get it about 1/4 inch, a little more than 1/4 inch thick, and then when I cut it, you can cut it in quarters, halves, but try to make it about 1/4 by 1/4. That's
Yeah.
So now that's the ham is in there. That's the basis of the meat. The base meat is the ham. Same cut. Try to make it 1/4 by 1/4, maybe a little bigger. And this is about 1 pound. You don't put as much salami as the ham because it'll overpower it. And I put in about 1/2 pound. But the salami's not too bad. It's not too overpowering. And I go by looks.
Yeah.
Because that's how I learned with my
Yeah.
grandmother. I watched her do it, and I just went by sight, what it looks like when you just mix it up. Now the pepperoni's tricky. A couple times I kind of ruined the whole thing by putting too much pepperoni. The pepperoni will overpower it. So you only I put about half of what I put on the salami in there, because the pepperoni is so strong. Get the cheapest pepperoni.
Yeah. Okay.
All of the meat is
Yeah.
cut the same thickness.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a little more pepperoni in there
Yeah.
and a little more salami, because I see
Yeah.
as long as you see the ham dominating.
Yes. Okay.
And it's probably the best way to do it is to measure all this stuff, but I never really did till today, So I go by sight, and also I've always wanted to do buy like 1 pound of ham and 1 pound of this and just make one and just see what the
Yeah.
best
Like
is.
how that would work.
So what you have in here is a combination of the 3 cheeses that are firm. The mozzarella, palio, then the fresh mozzarella is a little softer, and then you have the basket cheese. They only make that at Easter. And I saw a program, that's kind of between ricotta and mozzarella. And they make that, and that's a little softer, but it's firmer than, softer than mozzarella, but it's more firm than ricotta. Ricotta is like a liquid almost. And it does something, it just adds that nice flavor, or holds it together. Then I have the 3 main meats, which is ham is the base, then hard salami is the second, about half of what I put in the ham, and then pepperoni gives it that extra spice, but that's half of what I put of the salami. Then I use prosciutto. A prosciutto is a very spicy ham. It's expensive, and I put a little less than I do on the pepperoni. And it's a nice spicy ham, and that's going to just give every not every bite, but every once in a while you're going to get that a little bit more spice. And I think my grandmother used very little of it because it's so expensive. It's like $12, $13 a pound. But whatever she did, it worked out very well. And the last is coppa. Now, coppa it's just different salamis. Italians have maybe 15 different types of meats, spiced meats, and I use this one just a little bit, just to give a little taste. And we mix it all in, And now you have all the firm parts of this dish in the bowl. You have all the firm cheeses and you have all the meats, which of course are all firm. Now you have 5 different meats, and in here you have 3 different cheeses. Now we're going to add the 2 other cheeses, which is this is the cheese that I discovered when our family was trying to duplicate my grandmother's recipe, that it was locatelli that was missing. We were using Parmesan, we were using other Romano Pecorino cheeses, but we found that the locatelli has that bite. And this really, when I added this to the Pizzagaina, I hit the prize. It was this locatelli and another ingredient I'll add at the last, and I'll show you. But when my grandmother passed away, she made these pies and no one else did. And we all said, oh boy, we lost this recipe. So my Uncle Louie, my Uncle Michael, my great Uncle Johnny, my Aunt Teresa, my Aunt Gladys, we all were trying to duplicate it, and I was doing it. But I was really the only person that actually remembered as a little kid cutting up these things and how she did it. And then I lived with her for a couple of years when I was a teenager, and I remember just helping her, but I never took an interest in it. So, but I did probably have a better idea than the other people in the family, and I think that I really duplicated the recipe. So right now we're going to add the eggs to it. Before you put in this cheese, which is a grated cheese, you need a moisture in to mix it in. Now, my daughter just asked me how many eggs and how many pies this is going to make. I never know. But this year we're recording it and we're going to find out. So I only go by the sight. So I put in about a dozen eggs, I mix it, I see if I need more. So we know now that we have 3 pounds of the 3 firm cheeses. We have about 2.5, 3 pounds of the meats. And now we're going to add the eggs. I use this bowl. It's a very thin edge bowl. And it really cuts the egg down nice. I used to work in a restaurant. I used to do it with one hand. Just mix this nice. See how it looks? Looks beautiful. This is enough cold cuts to last you for the whole year after you eat this for about a week. But what's great about this, it's like a meal. I bring it to work. You don't have to heat it. I actually like it. My favorite of this is room temperature. That's what it looks like. But you can see it coming together. See the meats keeping separate. The cheese is keeping separate. Those sizes are perfect. My little daughter Grace helped me cut these up. It took 2 days for us to just cut the stuff up. So we just used 1.5 dozen eggs, probably 2 dozen eggs. And I'm looking at this after adding the other cheeses. I'm predicting that this will do 3 pies, about like take 12 inch.
Show the bowl.
See, that's more consistent. We're gonna get a little more egg in there.
So you want it loose?
You want it loose right now because you're going to put the locatelli in there, and that's going to dry it up. And if it is too loose, I'll put extra. I have other cheese I'll put in. But this is why we're here. This is why we're here, to try to find like a recipe. A third. So we just I just want to sprinkle it. This 1/3. 2/3.
Keep.
So this is this. That dried up all of a sudden now. Remember how it was so liquidy? Look at it now. And that's what you're looking for. Now, it's a little too stiff. We're gonna put ricotta. I guess I'll measure. Here's a 1/2 cup. This you gotta be careful because you could ruin it with this. Here's a 1/2 cup. It's about a cup. Let's see. All right, so now look at what happened. That brought it more together. It's more like stickier, right? The ricotta. I just preheated the oven to 355. You can do 350. I do 355 because the 3 and the 5 is right there, so I just did it twice. And look at this, how nice this looks. Look at that. See? That'll stay in a pie. That'll stay in a pie. Now what I might do here is put a little bit more locatelli to make it a little thicker. I'm not real happy with it. I like it to be a little more thicker. And now and then I'm going to show you the secret ingredient that really made the pie. This is the secret that we all missed for 5 years. Grandma Corio's Pizzagaina had a bite to it. My grandmother used 3 things that she cooked with that I've ever saw her cook with. 5. I just said 5, so I said 4. She used black pepper, salt, red pepper flakes, the hot red pepper flakes, and cloves of garlic. Of course, basil, oregano. But every day she used a lot of pepper, black pepper. And one day when I was doing these, one year when I was doing these, I looked at the color of this and I said, it wasn't that color. It was like a greenish color when you finished. And then it dawned on me, the pepper. And so I used a little pepper, but it wasn't enough. So now I'm going to put a tablespoon of pepper. That might seem extreme, but I remember her covering the whole thing with pepper. Ready? Now, the interesting thing about the pepper thing is you never know if you have the right amount of pepper in there until you taste it. And I'm looking at it, and I think I need a little more pepper. So I'm going to put just a teaspoon this time on there. So far we have a tablespoon, and now we'll have a teaspoon. I use this McCormick. I think McCormick has some of the best pepper. I tried different peppers. Just the smell. That's it. That's it. I could see it. You see like little tiny specks all over. So we used a table and a tea and on 3 pounds of meat, 3 pounds of cheese. That's it. I don't want to mix too much. You don't want to mix it too much. You don't want to kill the cheese. You don't want to like melt the cheese down. We're going to do a little larger dough on this one. We're going to use start with 5 cups of flour.
White flour. Not the semolina?
No.
Okay.
No, we're going to put a cup of semolina. Semolina, I use the semolina. It gives it a little richer taste. And it gives it a nice yellow look too, which I like. Okay, now we're gonna put 5 yolks in this baby.
Use this good.
Okay, go. And like I said before, I use the bottled water because our well is a little too much acid. I think that's the problem with Jersey bread. And then we'll just get a spoon and mix that up. It's a beautiful mix. Semolina really, I believe, adds to the flour. I'm gonna need some more water here. Add the water. Put a half a cup in first. This makes it a little richer and it gives it a little crispier when it's baked. I'm going to put a half a cup. So we have 5 cups of flour, 1 cup of semolina, half a cup of olive oil, and 2 cups of water so far. The olive oil, semolina, it's amazing. All right, so now we're gonna probably have to add another cup of flour. We'll go a half a cup at a time. Just sprinkle it around. That should take the tackiness out of it. Put on the board. So you had 5 cups of flour, and then I put about 3/4 in there, and then I'm going to put the rest. So it's 6 cups of white flour so far that we're going to probably need in here. Maybe another, it might even take another half a cup or a cup by the time we finish kneading.
We got the visitor.
It's a tomato.
Hey, Tamara, come on in. She brought the Jewish cookies.
I did.
And then next year I go, oh, what did I do? What did I use? See how it sucked up that cup of flour? I think we're going to need another cup. Do we have any? All right, so notice that all that flour is gone because I kneaded that in there. And then this is going to make 2 doughs. Well, I mean 2, one for the top and one for the bottom. Cut that in half. Let the heavy one, we'll use that as the top because that's the one you fold over. And the thickness is probably 1/4 inch. And we're ready now to put it on the pan and to put the filling in. I have a pan and I lightly put olive oil on it. I'm not sure why I do that. I was going to put the small one on, but it's the larger one goes on first. I don't know what made me say the small one. So I put this large one on. Now, this is a small pie. We've made the first pie small. Lay it on there. Okay. Now I'm going to go get the filling. It's set, and that's good. It's set for about a half hour, and that makes it a little thicker. And we're just going to put it on there. Now, Try not to get it on the sides, otherwise you won't be able to put the second piece on and sew it together, and then it just leaks. Okay. Like I said, don't get anything on the sides. It's probably the most important thing when you're pouring this, because we get it over here, the egg gets on there, and you can never fix it. I like to make it probably 1.5 inches, and you can make it even bigger, even thicker if you want, and you kind of I shape it with the top. I'll show you how to do that later. So this is relatively small one, but I usually cut the large ones up, the large pies up, and I give pieces to people. And I think it's nice to just give a small pie to someone too without it being cut. Because then the person will be like, oh, you give me half a pie or a quarter? Okay. I'll put another one on there, on the top, and I'll show you how I shape that in. Okay. Now we're going to put our top on. See that egg there? A little bit. So now I'll close it in, and now you can shape it. You don't have to worry about it spilling out. Okay. Now it's on. Yeah, it looks like a big, my daughter says pierogi, but I'm Italian, it looks like a big ravioli. And then you start rolling the dough. This is very important. As you go down, you stick your finger in, you pinch it, sort of pinching it, not hard, but this to me is the best part of the dough, of the pie. Because that thick piece, when you eat that with the insides, I love that part of the dough. See that? You're going to keep that. Get that, make sure you get the bottom. See the bottom piece? Make sure that comes up. Oh. Now, what my grandmother used to do, being that this was like Easter or before Easter, she would, put some air holes in it so that the pie would breathe, and she would make a cross. She would just make a cross with these, so that this thing will breathe, because there's a lot of filling in there. We just did an egg wash on here, and if you would have seen it, you wouldn't have believed how we did it. So that's why we didn't show you. And now we're going to put it in the oven at 355. Our first one, and we have to test it. So it went to room temperature. It's a little warmer than room temperature. I'm going to cut into it right at the cross.